Hello, welcome to another video with me. I already know this video is going to be delayed. I have a lot of things going on in my personal life, and I didn't think I was even going to end up recording at all this week, but I did all the research. I have all the images collected, and pretty much like everything is done except the filming part. And just a lot has been going on in my personal life that it sometimes just is hard to get ready in front of the camera. But I just realized that sometimes I'm gonna have to come on here sometimes without makeup on and not wearing like my best. My go-to pajama shirt is always going to be a Rolling Stones shirt. I have way too many, but recording at all today. But I love making these videos. I think they're a really good distraction, and it's what I love to do. And also, like, I hate to say it, but the algorithm is not kind to channels whenever they skip a week. So that's just the reality of it. But again, I do love making these videos. It's just this week was really hard. All right, so grab a drink, grab a snack. This is going to be a pretty chill format to like talk about what I had in mind for this week, and it is talking about like home decor and how it relates to your moon sign. This great quote in a book that said that if you don't feed the soul of your moon sign, you're just basically going to be unhappy. And it made me wonder, for those of us who are home all the time, if we work from home, if you are a creator of sorts, it's super important to be surrounded by things that do cater to your moon sign. Your moon sign is essentially who you are behind closed doors and who you are at home. So it would make sense to decorate according to your moon sign. And I gathered some information. I have some examples based off of the poll I did on Instagram. Thank you for those who participated. I love doing those, and I definitely will do more in the future. And I also have some celebrity examples where I look at their moon sign and how it correlates with their home decor design, or their approach to, at least. We'll have to take that information with a grain of salt, just because I think some of us know that whenever they do Architectural Digest interviews or a celebrity does a home tour, there is a level of curation that goes into it. It is their public image, so there's going to be some things that they don't show. I hope you don't mind. I may be not making proper eye contact because I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. I have a lot of notes for this week's video. So starting out with Aries moon. You guys are so energetic, so adventurous, and one of the more bold signs. After all, they are a fire sign. So on Instagram, someone did mention that they are an Aries moon. Shout out to Miriam. And she said that cozy maximalism is her ideal aesthetic for her home. And that confirmed a lot. I feel like when it comes to Aries being an adventurous sign, as I mentioned, they're always on the go. They always have something in mind, and being this very adventurous person, they're going to have a lot of pieces that they collect from the world, from their different travels and memories. And Aries are a very prideful sign, so they're going to want to display that in some shape or form. For a celebrity example, I have Emily Ratajkowski. She is a model. She is also an author of the book My Body, and her dad is also an artist. So the view that I was referencing when it showed her home was, I found out a previous home of hers. There is recent photos that she posted herself of her more recent home, but both places have a very similar approach. Both are New York loft aesthetic. Ironically, is like very Aries. I feel like New York caters to a lot of Aries energy. It's very on the go. There's a lot of boldness that comes with the city and a lot of great trends. So when she showed her home in her first interview that I'm referencing, it definitely had a maximalist approach from floor to ceiling of the loft. It was covered in artwork. A lot of it was her father's. She had a lot of different eclectic pieces and patterns, and it had a lot of warm tones, whereas her more recent home, it still has a maximalist approach. It's still very cozy. She has a lot of velvet elements, different interesting rug patterns, and of course artwork. But the difference in her more recent home is that it's more pastel colors, it's lighter. So what I interpret from that is that she's is very on trend. I think it's still important for Aries to have some form of freshness and newness in their home. I feel like that's just an Aries thing in general, not just an Aries moon trait, but always wanting something that is new and exciting. Okay, so next we have Taurus moon. So on Instagram, on the poll, my friend said that her ideal aesthetic would be cottage and Japandi. So Japandi, if you aren't familiar with that term, is the interior design aesthetic where it combines traditional Japanese home decor and elements and materials along with Scandinavian interior design, which is very minimalist. I think both home decor where they like intersect is both you have a strong use of neutral colors, very natural wood and rattan materials, for Japan being bamboo, and also both having a strong importance in sleek functionality. A celebrity example, I have Nicole Scherzinger. If you're unfamiliar with her, she is the lead singer of the Pussycat Dolls, who are a early 2000 gem. So when it comes to Tauruses, and I have mentioned this before in many of my videos whenever I talk about any Taurus placement, is there is this need for quality. I feel like any earth sign is such a stickler for the little details. And when it comes to Tauruses specifically though, they notice things about the quality of life things, whether it's food or home decor. I think also though, there has to be some form of functionality to it. There has to be a purpose. So the best way to describe Taurus moons, and funny enough, I actually have a lot of Taurus moons in my life, is functional luxury. Like things can't just look pretty, there has to be a purpose, and things just can't have a purpose. It has to be aesthetically pleasing. Specifically like Nicole Scherzinger, she has a lot of marbles and stone in her home. And funny enough, so Nicole Scherzinger actually has a bedding and comforter line called Nalu, which pays homage to her home. She was born and raised in Hawaii, I think. It seems so perfect that a Taurus moon owns a comforter and bedding company. Next, we have Gemini moons. No one on my Instagram poll stated that they were Gemini, so I'm going to jump to the celebrity example, which is my favorite, Dita Von Teese. If you don't know who she is, shame on you. I'm joking. She is a prevalent burlesque dancer of our time. And what I love about her home, I have seen her home tour many times, even before I decided to do this video. I love that she has honed in on her signature style. She has sharpened it over the years, and her home is an extension of her signature style. So a lot of who she is has gone into her interior design. So like Aries' maximalist approach, she even opens her home tour for Architectural Digest that she is a maximalist and she hates white walls. Everything has to be covered in art or wallpaper or paint. Difference is, I feel like Aries definitely has that cozy maximalist approach. I feel like Gemini's is a lot more intentional. It's a lot more ready to host a party. And Dita Von Teese always mentions that. She always talks about how she loves to host. She loves being the bartender and having unique cocktails for everybody. In many interviews, she even states that she has eclectic glasses so that each of her guests has a unique glass for their cocktail. There's so much thought that goes into her home, and I think it's very Gemini. Geminis pay attention to the little details, and they're known for their versatility. So Dita Von Teese has stated that she paints her walls pink because it is the best lighting for her, and it's not just for like photo shoots, but it's just for her own personal well-being, and knowing that even in her own home, she is painted in the best light. I just feel like Dita Fontees is the perfect example of a Gemini moon with that versatility, adaptability, and having a maximalist glamour approach to her space. Okay, next we have my moon, which is Cancer moon. I also have many Cancer moons in my personal life, and unfortunately, it was actually really tough to find a celebrity home that I could speak in depth on. There was Miranda Kerr. She was the only Cancer moon who had a proper home tour where she was the one giving the tour, which was what I tried to aim for when choosing a celebrity. But even when she was giving a home tour, it was mainly her Malibu home. And even though she states that it is her sanctuary, there was like a level of advertisement that felt like was going on. I'm still going to show images of her home, but again, there was something about it, like in my gut, that felt more curated than normal. I think every celebrity home is curated to an extent, to some degree, but hers was like catalog ready. And she mentions, she name drops brands a little too much. One thing I want to talk about, and I appreciate about Miranda Kerr's home, that there are certain motifs that she does repeat. She has geometric shapes, whether it's in the furniture or the pattern in the wood. And also, she had a repeating motif of butterflies. She doesn't really talk about it, but if you take a look at some of the knobs in her home, like some of the furniture, they're butterfly wings, and she also has butterfly shadow boxes. Another Cancer moon that I wanted to just briefly talk about, just because she has her own linen and home decor line, is Drew Barrymore. She definitely has an eclectic taste. She has briefly shown her home on TikTok. I'm not going to show it just because it was really hard to grab a proper screenshot, but it's an easy thing to look up. And her love of pattern definitely matches her personality, and there is like a level of comfort in her home decor line. Probably why I couldn't find a lot of examples is we're very private people, we're very sensitive, and so we protect ourselves just as a crab would. And I think that's why a lot Cancer moons don't showcase their homes in depth. However, I do want to show like a home office tour and show how my Cancer moon has greatly impacted my space where I do art, but I do understand that level of privacy that's needed. The thing that makes it feel very Cancer moon for my own personal space is I'm really into a celestial goth type of aesthetic. I think it's not new at all that I'm into dark aesthetics. I love wearing all black, and I want that to be extended into my home decor, but I have a strong affinity for the moon. Ever since I was a kid, it was just my favorite thing to paint, and that's just a repeating motif that I want to have in my home. Leos, I wonder if it is a fire sign thing or a fire moon sign thing to always keep up to date on trends and always having something new on rotation in their home. I feel like when it comes to Leos, there is a level of trendiness, and it's not such a bad thing. I feel like trends do get a bad rep, but when trends are accounted for in your home, it definitely feels like there is this level of newness. I'll get into that in just a second. On Instagram, someone said that their ideal aesthetic is mid-century meets green academia, essentially dark academia, but with a lot more inspiration from like biology textbooks, a lot of greenery and plants. And then for a celebrity example, she's more of an influencer, followed her for many years, is Ellen V. Laura. It makes so much sense that she is a Leo moon. She has a lot of Virgo in her chart, so she is very particular about certain details, but there is like a loudness to her personality, and I think being a Leo moon looks so natural and comes off very natural when on camera. Going back to the idea of trendiest pieces, so when it comes to Ellen V. Laura, I feel like she is one of the trendiest persons like I follow. And again, it's not such a bad thing, but she always has like the newest Kith purse, the newest Prada purse, and that extends to her home life as well. She is the first person I heard to have a cloud couch and actually able to see it. She also has one of those Sherpa chairs to meditate on, I believe, and all of a sudden it was everywhere. So I feel like Leos tend to always know what's up. Like they always know what's up and coming, or they're the ones to kind of start it. I'm not gonna lie, there have been times where I look at her home decor, and even though I have no desire to have like white furniture per se, just because I know my lifestyle and I am prone to spillage, there's just something about how it looks in her home. It's very inviting and very alluring. For Virgo moon on Instagram, on the poll, I was told moody contemporary was their ideal aesthetic. So I feel like you're gonna have to take some of these home decor aesthetics with a grain of salt, just because although if you share the same moon sign, your approach may be the same, the end result may be different based off of what's nostalgic to you, based off of your own personal preference. Contemporary, though, makes a lot of sense for a Virgo moon. Contemporary designs is very modern, it's very sleek and very functional and straightforward. And with that modernness that comes with contemporary design, everything has a place, and it's like almost the opposite of eclectic. Celebrity example, I have Shay Mitchell. She is the perfect example of functional spaces. So she does take a more eclectic approach to her design. Keep in mind, she did have a professional interior design help decorate her home, who she is actually best friends with. And when she did her Architectural Digest interview, she actually had him with her, which I loved. I feel like not a lot of celebrities include their interior design in their home tour. Got to hear his perspective of why they chose certain light fixtures and couches. So, but we'll have to take like the actual aesthetic with a grain of salt. Of Shay Mitchell's like commentary as they were going through the home, everything definitely had a place and a function. Like the chairs that were chosen, there was a reason for it. The couch, the depth of the couch, there was a reason for it. She is also a mom, so there was a lot of thought that went into the baby's rooms and making things like accessible for her family. Favorite thing about Shay Mitchell's home, though, is the bar that she had. I think she is another celebrity that enjoys hosting, and there was a lot of great flow in her home. Next, we have Libra. The celebrity example I have is Vanessa Carlton. When I saw her home tour on Architectural Digest, I was kind of like surprised. So the video I watched was of her New York apartment, but I also have some additional imagery of her Rhode Island home. But from her New York apartment, it definitely demonstrated a lot of Libra traits. She even states many times in her interview that she loves juxtaposition. She loves like good moody colors. And she really wanted to like uphold the New York charm that was in her apartment. So her apartment was originally like a mercantile, I don't know if I'm saying that right, factory. So she definitely wanted to keep some of those like details, like the columns, some of the woodwork, the brick. Another thing too, and I feel like this is for some reason very Libra, she loves repurposed furniture, and she does like make an effort to make sure that her home is actually filled with repurposed pieces where she can. There's only so many images and screenshots that I can show, and so if you can, please like take a look at her home tour. It's beautiful. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like talking about all of this like home decor and astrology is uplifting my mood. So next we have Scorpio. This is super fun. So we have Bretman Rock, who is again like a great Filipino representation. Didn't have a lot growing up, and Bretman Rock, like he just like makes me smile. So when it comes to Scorpio energy, they are known for their intensity and their passion, and just like you don't know what's going to come next. There's also a level of mystery. They only show you what they want to show you, and there is like a bit of allure. And also Scorpios tend to be like the signs that are unafraid to talk about the uncomfortable topics that most people don't say out loud, which is very Bretman Rock. Love that he's a Scorpio moon. So in his Hawaii mansion, he has decor from neon signs, pieces that pay homage to his Filipino culture. He has like a lot of crystals and a lot of statement pieces. But in his more recent tour, which I definitely recommend you watching, it's really fun. He calls it the idea of an alien superstar sex dungeon in Hawaii. It gave me Barbarella vibes, like 1960s space age type of decor. There's a lot of intention with the mood lighting. He mentions that he tries to keep the lighting at a certain color, but if he has all the lights on, which have an orange tint, he puts his mood lighting to orange. His home does give me like villain lair vibes. Okay, next we have Sagittarius moon. So originally I was going to talk about Dakota Johnson's home because she is a Sagittarius moon. Even before I knew what her moon sign was, I was like, oh, I have to talk about her home. One, I feel like her home has been talked about in length already, just because her home, a mid-century dream, it's very on trend, it's very cozy. But for Sagittarius moon, I want to talk about Lenny Kravitz because we have several homes to talk about with him. He has a Paris home, a farm compound in the Bahamas, and he also has a Brazilian home. I feel like even though he has all three of these places, every single one of them have that rock star vibe. And it's so funny because I always mention that Sagittarius placements, they're the rebellious ones. And in terms of style, or at least when it comes to like a high femme style, they give off like rock star girlfriend vibes. Something like very punk edgy or 90s grunge is also very reminiscent of Sagittarius vibes. So it's just so appropriate that Lenny Kravitz, who is just known for like 90s rock and alternative, be a Sagittarius moon. And you can see it so much in his home. There are leather fabrications, and there are pieces that I feel like Aries and Leo also do, like pieces that he kind of wants to show off. But when it comes to Sagittarius moon, it's a lot more subtle. But he has a very like extravagant collection. Like he has Muhammad Ali's shoes, I believe, and he has pieces from Prince and different like I think he also has like something from Jimi Hendrix, and he also has a collection of guitars. He's like a collector of grand things, and all three of his homes have a rock star chic vibe to it. Like it's that romanticized dressing room vibe that you would visualize from like the coolest rock star that you can think of. And I think it's just so perfect that Lenny Kravitz is a Sagittarius moon, and you can see it in his home as well. Okay, so for Capricorn moon, my best friend was the one who actually answered this on Instagram, and she said that her ideal aesthetic is sleek futurism. So think like Blade Runner and almost video game chic. It just confirms so much about Capricorns. It's very practical, but in a different way, like futuristic. Like they're always a step ahead. When it comes to Capricorns, they are great planners. They know their 10-year plan, and they're very practical. But what I like about the idea of sleek futurism for a Capricorn moon is that there is this level of intrigue and openness to anything new. So for the celebrity example, I have Liv Tyler, which is her home is far from sleek futurism, but I feel like when it comes to Capricorn placements, like you never know what you're gonna get. The basis is always the same. The approach is the same, just different results. In a way, her home, it's very cozy, and there are modern elements to it. It's just done in a different way. It's not done in like a Blade Runner way, but it's modern and sleek in her own way. And also Liv Tyler, she does think about functionality a lot. She is a family woman, so throughout her home, she talks about how her kids interact with the space and how it's a safe space for all of them as a family. She's also very hands-on in her home, actually. She even mentioned like she loved the character that was in the New York townhouse that she lives in, and she installed some of the molding to mimic the character it already had. Very luxurious. I feel like, again, all earth signs are a stickler for quality. She has a lot of velvet, marble, and she does her home in a very nice, colorful way. Okay, next we have Aquarius. So this was interesting. It wasn't like a Vogue interview or Architectural Digest. It was actually a closet interview for Japanese DJ and kimono stylist Mademoiselle Yulia, who I'm a huge fan of. I actually did not know who she was until her home tour. So the video says closet tour, but she does show her bedroom space and essentially her living room. And I wanted to include it because it was just so quintessential Aquarius energy. And she's an Aquarius moon. I feel like when it comes to Aquarius energy, they're very whimsical. There is a lot of character, a lot of unexpected details, and they're a collector of the most eccentric and most random things. What I love about her dressing room, but you can see her bed in there, is that she said she was inspired by the movie In the Mood for Love, which is one of the most beautiful movies. It's very inspiring, but I never thought of a home space dedicated to that movie. It's very red, which you don't see a lot in homes, but it works. Her life within her home decor. I also feel like she has a very busy life. She has a lot of interests. I feel like Aquarius have many loves, and you can just see that in her home. And last but not least, we have Pisces moon. Someone on Instagram that said that their ideal aesthetic is dark and moody. I know it's a very broad term, but I can definitely visualize it. There's so many ways that you can approach a dark and moody home. So one way of doing dark and moody, I saw it in Pisces moon Vanessa Hudgens, actually. I was kind of surprised by how much I really loved her home. And there were certain details as they were like doing close-ups in her Architectural Digest interview that I realized she's a little witchy and she's a little spiritual, and she kind of has a dark side. If you do close up like some of the books on her shelf, I hope they're not curated, but like she had some like witchy books on there that I even have. What I appreciated too was that there was like a lot of unity and flow. She used black tiles from like wall to floor in her bathroom, and she repeated that in her kitchen. And I think it's because she had extra tiles, she said, but it still like works and flows together. She has a lot of dark and moody elements. And also as she goes through her home, she states like she was inspired by New Orleans. Like she loves the dark and moodiness of New Orleans charm. Some of the wallpaper she chooses, the outdoor lamps she actually got from an artisan that's in New Orleans. She even has a secret garden. It has a lot of old Hollywood glamour elements into her home, pays homage to her career and her love for Broadway and musicals. And of course, like I mentioned, a lot of New Orleans details. So if you watch this whole thing, let me know if you've ever thought about decorating your home or your most prevalent used space in your home decorated based off of your moon sign. I definitely want to showcase this more as I decorate my space, and I'm going to keep in mind not just my Cancer moon, but probably my Pisces rising. I have a lot of water in my chart, and I'm also going to do a time lapse of when I do work on this giant painting behind me. I hope you all have a great week, and until next time, bye.